Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to NASCAR Racing 2003 season. We're running the 2019 mod with some 2020 paint schemes in here. You can see Ryan Newman right in front of us, and there is Ryan Blaney in that Menards Ford. And we don't have all of the 2020 cars just yet, but hopefully in a few days they will be ready for next week's race at the Daytona 500. We are running the Planet Zoo Chevy Camaro for the first part of this year, and there is Brandon down to our inside in that wreckingandracing.com podcast Toyota. If you're a NASCAR fan and looking for a podcast to listen to, head on over to wreckingandracing.com, and you can listen to Brandon talk each week. But we are ready to start the clash. 18 cars plus us two for 20 laps at Daytona. We're not running 3 times tire wear like we will the actual season, so no pit stops will be necessary during this race as we get the good run down on the bottom. Brandon under Blaney and Byron. And this is the Daytona Rising track. Pretty steep. It feels steeper than the stock Daytona that comes with NASCAR Racing 2003 season, but maybe that's just me. But we've got a good run on the inside of the 24. Brandon thinking better of it, getting under the 42 as they're 2x2, and these cars are dicing for position, staying in one big pack. We have Brad Keselowski out front. It looks like Brandon trying to split the middle on the inside of Kurt Busch in that Monster Energy Camaro, looking to the outside of Kyle Larson. And the middle line does work if you can get a run. We've got Ryan Blaney behind us giving us help, and that's 1 lap in the books. There's no points on the line here. It's just bragging rights for the win. Next week, we're going to start keeping track of points, but it's good to get a feel for Daytona and what the Daytona 500 may look like for us here. As far as competition is concerned, we'll be right on the back bumper of Brandon, pushing him up to Larson, seeing if he can make a run down to the inside. Yes, indeed, he can. Under the 42, going 3 wide. Car trying to slide up the banking. Brandon wiggles just a little bit. We'll give him some room. Keep our foot on the gas down to the inside, sort of drop down. Make sure Brandon has that car under him and get that pull off of Eric Jones right in front of us. Brandon keeping his nose right to our rear quarter panel, using that side draft to his advantage, and neither lane here at Daytona Rising has a clear advantage. The cars can run pretty much side by side together if they are hooked up. And the high line might be a tad bit faster if you can get off of turn 2 and turn 4 on the high line and carry that momentum down, and we're going to try to do such things as these behind Kurt Busch, looking to the outside of that 20. And they're 3 wide in front of us there. The Stewart-Haas teammates going side by side with Boyer and Harvick. To the inside of them is Martin Truex Jr. Looking down, nice momentum. Never lifting. Brandon follows us through, and he will give us the push down there at the bottom. It's going to take a little bit for me to get used to Brandon's blue paint scheme this year, as he was running a matte black scheme last year. Kind of reminded me of Kurt Busch, but now Brandon's going to be easy to spot in the mirror when he's there and as he's passing us, as he's wont to do. We'll settle in behind Jimmy Johnson, see if we can give him the push past these Stewart-Haas guys. And Jimmy tries to get... Oh, that was close. I thought about putting the nose in there, but there's still plenty of racing left, and the leader is right in sight. We're not in panic mode just yet. We'll get under the 2 of Brad Keselowski, look to the inside of Jimmy Johnson, not going past those double yellow lines to make that pass and get under Jimmy there. We're 3 wide now. Brandon following us right on that bottom with the double yellow line. We'll stick to the bottom as close we can to the apron and complete that pass. And 3 wide behind, they're starting to drop back. Brandon will complete the pass, and these leaders are starting to single file out. We set sights on Eric Almirola. I just got his new paint scheme, and you'll see that in the Daytona 500 next week, so no worries there. Still driving the Smithfield Ford, but an interesting paint scheme for Eric Almirola coming up. And there's Chase Elliott out there in the UniFirst Hooters Camaro. And Brandon takes the initiative to the outside, getting the pull off Chase Elliott. Martin Truex Jr. behind him. Another lap in the books here at Daytona. Jimmy Johnson giving us help down to the inside. Brandon cuts right down to the inside and makes it 3 wide, going for that twofer behind Austin Dillon. And the lead is not that far away. We'll complete that pass on the 3 wide guys behind and set sights on the leader, Joey Logano, leading this race in that Shell Pennzoil Ford. And we're going to push Brandon here past Martin Truex, I saw Tracker, past Austin Dillon if we can. And the pack is still behind us. You can see all the cars still pretty much nose to tail behind us. If we get shuffled out of line, that's going to drop us back. We're going to need to keep our left sides on that double yellow if Jimmy starts getting a run. Like I said, there seems to be more grip on the high side, so if you can roll the outside lane, you can get a lot of speed down the straightaway. But then again, we don't want to give up that bottom groove for Jimmy Johnson to peek in. But we should complete the pass on Logano. Brandon cuts down right across the nose, and hopefully we can get back up to his rear bumper. Jimmy Johnson pushing us as well. Dillon pushing the 22 of Logano to the outside, 3 wide, a few rows back. Very dicey indeed. Some cars may be laying back waiting for a possible big one, but with only 18 cars, a big one can take out 90% of the field. So we have to be extremely careful here. And like I said, this race is not for points, it's for bragging rights only, as this is the Clash. So if we wreck, no big deal in the grand scheme of things, but it just hurts the pride going forward into next week. Can't wait to get the season started, however, and if we're going to run like this, I'm going to feel pretty confident. Brandon was last year's champion, out front, leading the way again this year, picking up right where he left off. Joey Logano still hanging tough on the outside. Jimmy Johnson tries to complete that pass. We will clear them both as long as they're side by side. I've got warm and fuzzies looking back there and seeing them fight. If Jimmy Johnson does clear that 22, we may be in for a little bit more work here. Another lap gone, pushing Brandon, and it will be nice to get those spoilers gone next year. Hopefully the modding community will get on the 2021 stock cars, but Jimmy Johnson looking to the inside there. He had a full run of steam, and we can fight back on the high side. However, Brandon heads up, goes to block Jimmy. We get the run, and we kind of stall out about mid straightaway. He's still going to be there going into the turn. We will be the leader of the outside pack. Cars are formed up nice behind us, though. We've got a line of cars on the inside and outside lanes. Brandon's trying to block both lines here, keeping Jimmy Johnson behind. Jimmy will pull up right next to us here. Jimmy, of course, gets us in the corners, and then we get him down the straights, and we sort of even out as far as lap times are concerned. There's no gap behind Jimmy to get to Kyle Busch in that M&M's Toyota, though. I would like to get down to the bottom if I can. We'll get a big run off of turn 2, get that pull off of Brandon, and complete the pass on Jimmy Johnson. Get clear right there, and down to the bottom we go. No, Jimmy Johnson throws it back in. We couldn't get to the bottom quick enough, and it's not late enough in the race for me to throw that massive block across the nose. Jimmy looks to pass Brandon. He goes down to the inside. Jimmy is giving Brandon all he can handle. After last year, Jimmy and Brandon had a bit of a rivalry going. Seemed that they found each other on the track quite often, and there may have been contact involved in a few of those cases. So far, a clean race, though nice and close. Pack racing we have here. Down the back straightaway, getting that pull off of Kyle Busch. Will complete that down to the inside. Jimmy Johnson rolls out of the gas a little bit. We will get under Jimmy and down to the bottom, and Ryan Blaney looks to move up into third place if he can get under Jimmy Johnson here. Jimmy does not move down to block. We'll be riding in second. Laps ticking by very quickly. Only 20 total laps this event. Next week will be 20 laps, but we will turn on tire wear and fuel. So everyone will make at least one pit stop next week and every week going forward during the regular season. So if you're not a fan of just green flag racing, stay tuned next week, as pit stops may throw a huge wrench into the works, especially when we get a full field of cars here racing at the plate track. Yeah, we sort of got bit right there. We looked to the outside trying to get the run on Brandon. Ryan Blaney filled that spot, and looks like the 88 of Alex Bowman in that Valvoline Camaro is pushing Ryan Blaney for all he's worth. That bottom groove looks sealed up with no spots. Brad may feel iffy. If Brad gets out of line, that may help us. Jimmy isn't really doing a good job of getting to our back bumper, however. Jimmy Johnson's sort of laying back, but we do have the entire row of cars behind us. So still two distinct lines, nose to tail. Getting that pull down the straightaway, if we can get the pass on Blaney, we cannot quite clear him. We needed another 50 to 100 feet of racetrack. We would have been able to get to the bottom, but Blaney holds tough down there at the bottom, and Jimmy is not helping us one bit. A fellow Camaro driver decides to just roll back, it seems. Jimmy's sort of getting that run on the outside groove, not making up a ton of ground, but he is coming close. Maybe Kyle Busch is not giving Jimmy the help he needs to get up front. The bottom lane is definitely sealed up tight, though. I don't want to push and shove my way in here, put the car in a bad position, but desperation may start to set in here as the laps click off. We don't have a whole lot of racing left to go. Within shouting distance, not bad. If we can keep Blaney pinned down to the yellow line, see if we can get that side draft and get the run off the outside. The only bad thing is Blaney is still staying tucked up to Brandon, so even if we completed the pass on Blaney, we would have to get around Brandon at the same time, and we just do not have the momentum to complete that, especially with Jimmy 2 cars back. Yeah, Bowman, Keselowski, looks like Byron back there. I mean, they are all nose to tail and pushing hard, and Jimmy's just sort of laying back like, what you got? All right, so this is new. Blaney up to the top. We force him down. Brandon goes to block very quickly, almost puts us 3 wide. Blaney thinks better of it, stays in line. We've got still Alex Bowman right below us. Brad Keselowski sealed up to his rear bumper, and Jimmy is laying a car length back. Oh, if only Jimmy Johnson would get up here and do something. He was pushing Brandon for all he was worth a few laps ago, but now when it comes to us, Jimmy's just sort of rolling back. Looks like Jimmy's trying to get up here, but man, with these 2x2x2 in one big group, it is tough to make up any ground or put your car in the place where you want it to be. Good run down the backstretch, though. Brandon tries to help out, keeping on the top. He goes to block Blaney. It looked like Bowman looked to the inside just for an instant on Ryan Blaney. Does not complete that pass, however. Looks like the high line is thinning out. I've only got 3 cars up here with me. Bowman moves to the top a bit to try to pick up his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, but gets back in line in front of Keselowski. The Chevys need to hook up, but then the Fords would hook up with Brad Keselowski down there behind Blaney. So, yeah, a game of chess is definitely unfolding. It's not like we could drive any faster. Foot is pinned. It's all about car positioning and the draft we get. Good pull here. We might finally complete the pass on Blaney, and indeed we do get around. And now Jimmy starts to peek on up. Now that we're not there on the outside lane, looks like Jimmy's might get his nose in this battle. Bowman looks to the inside under Blaney as well. If we can get these guys running 3 wide behind us, that will take a lot of the pressure off. Brandon doing a good job of blocking that bottom. Blaney looks to the inside. We're going to move to block Blaney. Brandon comes down to block us. Almost contact going into turn 1, but we're still fine. The pack is still within 1 second of each other. All 18 or 20 cars are nose to tail, and no one is giving an inch. With just a handful of laps to go, we wiggle a little bit. Blaney to the apron. The car washes up just a bit. Blaney's going to get to the inside, and we have no help on this outside lane at all. Jimmy Johnson is miles back. Brad is looking to the inside of Bowman, though. That's going to help keep us traffic on the outside. If Jimmy can get up to Bowman. Aggressive move by Brandon to block Blaney. And we have Keselowski and Byron, and it looks like Kevin Harvick sticking his nose down to the inside as well. Fighting back on the outside as best we can. We know it's possible to complete the pass on Blaney. We just need the backstretch to do it. Blaney is very quick, though, on the bottom. He's not going to roll over and let us have it, that's for sure. And the high lane is actually starting to form up just a bit. They're not pulling up, but we do have some help on the outside. White flag is in the air. One more lap to go around. We cannot come down because we've cleared Blaney, but not Brandon. Almost into Blaney right there, trying to force the issue to get down to the bottom. Can't do it. We're going to have to get a good run down the back straightaway and get that pull, but we need Brandon to stay right up to the wall. He goes down to block Blaney, as this is the last lap, and for all the marbles, we've completed the pass on Blaney, but right there beside Brandon, can't get any speed. There's still nose to tail on the bottom. Some big miracle is going to happen off of 4 if we're going to get around. Second may be the best we can do, but Keselowski is tucked up right behind Blaney, and Bowman does not give us the light of day. Checkered flag is out, and Brandon will take the win at the exhibition race here in Daytona. A clean and green race, which is kind of unexpected when these cars run in this pack for that long. So everyone race respectfully, nose to tail. Looking forward to next week when pit strategy is going to be a thing, ladies and gentlemen. So we have to start thinking about our strategy going forward. Do we want to take 2 tires on the one stop? Do we want to go gas only? Will there be a caution, a big one, to take out 15, 20 cars midway through the race and then really get to throw our thinking caps on? But while Brandon goes to the front stretch to celebrate, I'll take this time to thank you for tuning in and hope that you are as excited for the new season as I am, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, we're going to start keeping tally of points and see if Brandon can retain his spot as defending champion this year. And as you can see, the big loser there was Denny Hamlin dropping near the back, but still, all the cars within 2 seconds of each other. So we'll see what happens next week in the Daytona 500, but that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week for the first race of the season, the Daytona 500. Take care.